Scars remind us of where we've been. They need not dictate where we're going. And I think in a way that kind of addresses this question. So in other words, I think it is almost inevitable. There's going to be pain, there's going to be scarring, there's going to be all kinds of this that's going to happen over the course of a life.
But she would sit at the kitchen table looking out the window for quite a period of time while the food was getting prepared. And I wish I had took that time to sit down with her and ask her questions about her being a child.
Continue to work as hard as you can, because by working, Bobby, you will keep yourself busy and get used to the grief.
There are those of us who like to venture to the unexplored, to see the beauty in the strange and unknown. Those of us who go out there with a sense of wonder.
God, it matters not how straight the gate, how punishment charged the scroll. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul.
I can talk, you are unreal. What you do it with class, understanding, professionalism, you're simply amazing. I told you that when I first met you. And you ran off my autobiography. It basically was a book. It was simply fantastic. And to think that you do that every show.
Very respectful, and he really connects with the artists and his audiences. And I felt like this guy's onto something, and I'm proud to be a part of this with him.
And I really thank your support. I lost my father, and you were the first person to support me and all that, and I thank you so much for that. It meant a lot to me.
The greatest wealth is when you can share it with someone. You can share your victories, you can share your failure, you can express your deepest feelings, but the greatest wealth is to be able to say that I have a friend, and I feel an unbelievable level of wealth, and a lot of that is because I have somebody like you.
Guys and gals and pals, I usually start off with a ton of energy here on Saturday nights, and I'm still feeling it. I'm still feeling the loss of Mr. Lenny Wilkens, who was a dear friend of mine for years, and also you saw some of the gentlemen and women he was on screen with in this TKN Celebrity Tournament. Lenny was awaiting his second-round match here in this TKN Celebrity Tournament, a sport of the mind, a place where strangers leave as friends. But I do want to remind you guys and gals and pals that when it comes to words, as a screenwriter, sometimes it seems like all you have is words, but I don't have words. I have sentiments. But if I were to narrow it down to one word, it would be class. It would be class. Because Lenny Wilkens was class personified in every sense of the word, every sense. He crossed over to the other side 6 nights ago, and I believe heaven gained an angel that we already knew was capable of flight while he was alive. Because he didn't have to wait to get to that place and knock on those pearly gates to gain those wings. He was that beautiful of a soul here on planet Earth, and he touched a lot of people. Guys, George Bernard Shaw said the great secret is not having bad manners or good manners or any other particular set of manners, but having the same manner for all human souls. And in short, behaving as if you were in heaven. Whether there are no third-class carriages, there's one good soul after another. And my friendship with Lenny is one thing, but I'm glad you all got to know him through this virtual sphere, and so did my guests, who I'm going to bring in right now. They got to know Lenny really well, and that's what it's going to be. We're not going to have a super long show. We're not. The regular programming of TKN Saturday Night returns next Saturday night. I want to thank our corporate sponsor, Progresso Soup, for being who they are. I want to thank Amazon Prime for picking up this celebrity tournament in round number 3, and, of course, Universal. So this show definitely is going to mean more to me even after the fact, because I'm going to replay it as many times as I can with friends that can remind you that this is a place in which we strip all of the accolades, and we peel back the layers, and we find out about the person behind the persona. So with that, guys and gals and pals, I do want to give a little bit of energy here right now. So as I bring in our luminaries who are part of this tournament, part of the network, also a first-time guest here, who I'm very grateful to see backstage. We'll meet him. I'll meet him very soon here on screen. Guys and gals, let's bring in our first luminary. Dear diary, I speak of the word greatness and revel in its glory. Are we exposed to such greatness through hearsay, fable, or some amazing story? I've seen greatness in the form of a man that's already broken every record that there is to break. If your goal is to beat him, you might wind up stomping on Ricky Lake. He's the only player in NBA history to lead, or I should say he's the only player in history to lead the NCAA, ABA, NBA in scoring. That fact can boggle the mind. What do you expect from someone who commits himself fully to the sweat known as the grind? He's an 8-time NBA All-Star, former All-Star Game MVP, one of the 50 greatest players of all time, an NBA champion, and a broadcasting legend as well. Tried defending him on the court was like riding a bull on ice in the fiery pits of hell. He was born in Roselle Park, and watching Willie Mays lit a spark. The man was a legend, not merely folklore. So much that my guest always wore number 24. He played for the University of Miami, and he dominated the hard word, guys and gals, to the sweet tune like an artist winning a Grammy. As a rookie, he improved his team as they racked up nearly 20 more wins than the year before. When he took the floor, he would rebound, pass, and score like no other. Everyone knew, even your mother, that he was one of the all-time greats. If you disagree, you might be a psycho like Norman Bates. Many fell at his hands as he took his teams to the pinnacle while becoming an all-time great. In 1975, his team was counted out not only to sweep their opposition, they were counted out by everyone. The champions that year, the Warriors of Golden State. The man has broken records and has excelled in everything that he has pursued. If you stood in his way or told him no, hate to break it to you, but you were screwed. He's a dear friend of mine and co-host, guys and gals, Hall of Fame hangout with yours truly. He knows how to communicate with dignitaries, the public, and even those those that are unruly. He's in round 3 of this star-studded tournament, and many of you predict that he might win the entire thing. That prediction might stick. So let's welcome a Hall of Fame player and a friend. Last name Barry, first name Rick. Rick, my friend, camera on, here you go.
You are such a piece of work.
I can't see you, Rick. I want to see you when you tell me that.
I don't know why you can't. I don't know why you can't see
there
me.
We go. There we go.
Yeah, I don't know how long and how much time you take to have to do all of those intros and all your rhyming and stuff. So, but yeah, it's great to see you. It's been a long time since we had a chance to speak. I wish you were under more pleasant circumstances. I mean, when you get to be my age, it's just sad because it seems like every month you wind up losing someone that you had the pleasure of knowing during your lifetime. And Lenny was one of those guys. Just a great player. He's one of the few people in the Hall of Fame, both as a player and as a coach.
Yes, sir.
Had a remarkable career in both areas. And I had the pleasure of playing, well, I don't know how much of a pleasure it was playing against him, but occasionally in some all-star games, we got to play together. But he's a very special person. Forget the basketball. He's just a really good person, which is, I think, the most important thing in life is to be a good person. And Lenny certainly was that.
Amen.
Yeah. And so, sad that we've lost him. But I tell you, the one thing about Lenny, here's the thing. Everybody said, okay, you got to guard him. He always wants to go left, right? So, you had to play him.
He was a lefty.
I'll be a SOB. I mean, he always found a way to go back left. He just kills you going to his left. But yeah, really just a super fine person. I was proud to have known him and had a chance to spend a lot of time with him, especially when we both, as Hall of Famers, had chances to get together when they had the Hall of Fame induction ceremonies over the years. And Lenny was back there seeing his lovely wife, and just a good person. I mean, a really, really good person. So one of the best, I mean, it's hard for a guy to average over 15 points a game for as long as he did, and over 6-7 assists a game.
11-time All-Star in 15 years. Absolutely.
Yeah,
sure.
I mean, pretty special. I mean, without question about that. That's not an easy thing to do, to be at the top of your profession for that many years, especially with so many new people coming out every year. Fortunately, here's the thing. He was lucky. He stayed relatively healthy. He didn't really have any major injuries in his career, and that's a big thing for a lot of guys, is to have that.
Especially in the days where sports science wasn't a thing back then.
Oh my God!
Travel. I mean, you know that better than anybody, Rick.
Hey,
I mean,
Lenny was before me.
Yeah.
And then I just talked to somebody the other day, and I said, "Look, do you understand that when we played, and Lenny is included in this, you know what we had to help us? Nothing. No,
Nothing.
Zero.
Nothing.
Zero.
Yeah.
We didn't have a strength coach, an agility coach, a dietitian.
Sure.
We had absolutely nothing. You came to training camp. Training camp was a long ordeal, a month or more before you even started playing games. And you go on the road and you play tons of exhibition games, and you get yourself, and you better be ready and be in shape. It was all up to you.
It was definitely a time I wish our fans knew and maybe didn't take for granted. By the way, Rick, I can't wait to bring in our next guest right now. I'll keep you on screen as well. Guys, we have a few guests. We'll all do this living room style and talk about Lenny. I have some questions to ask, some stories, hopefully, that these great gentlemen will tell about Lenny. This is Lenny Wilkens Tribute Night. So, guys, my next guest experienced the challenges of growing up in inner city Detroit. And along with his older brother, Robert, they made a promise to each other as teenagers. They were going to find a way to give back to others, specifically kids who were just trying to make it through, which is why years later, he and Robert founded the Atlanta Children's Foundation in 2002. A year later, he won the title with the Spurs, but 14 years prior to winning gold, he excelled in something that his mom started when she was just 18 years old. She was a seamstress, and he used to watch her piece things together for him because he started to grow. When he attended Michigan State on scholarship, he wanted to dress in the styles of the day, but oh no, he couldn't because nothing was available in his size, which would make anyone stand out like an alien on the X-Files. So he changed his major, guys and gals and pals, to fashion and textiles. During his pro years, he spent 4 consecutive summers learning the ins and outs of the business. Fabrics, design, purchasing, and shipping. Nothing for him was out of bounds. He was one of the most dominating big man and double-double forces, as he was the king of rebounds. Go ahead, try and wrestle a rebound away from him. I dare you. It'd be like pinning down a gator in the Everglades. And it's now time for me to list this man's vast array of accolades. He's an all-star that played on one of the most memorable all-star games in 1992. And his legend grew and grew. He ended up playing a whopping 21 seasons in the league, second all time. He's one of the 15 players in history to score 16,000 points and grab 11,000 rebounds. He made an all-NBA team, and he was the 11th pick in an NBA draft that featured the likes of Michael Jordan, Keem Olajuwon, Charles Barkley, and John Stockton. So grab a snack or some din-din, because a conversation with him is always a win-win, as I welcome a talented, gracious, kind human being. Last name Willis, first name Kevin. Welcome, Kevin Willis.
Hey, Abby, how you doing? Hey, Rick.
How are you, sir?
Hey, Kevin, how
How's
are
it going,
you?
guys?
Great to see you. Great to see you, my friend.
Likewise, man. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I want to bring everybody in real soon, but I got to tell you, Kevin, I'm glad you're here because, first off, thank you and thank Rick and to our guests backstage for carving out this time on a Saturday night. I know Lenny meant a lot to you, Kevin.
A lot. You know, with Coach Wilkens, he's going to be dearly missed. His family, beautiful wife. Condolences to the Wilkens family. And when Lenny came to Atlanta, it was like a breath of fresh air personally for me, because now we have a coach, take nothing, give all respect to Mike Vitello and Bob Weiss and all those guys, Willis Reed. But as a head coach and Lenny coming in and understanding the mindset and the mentality of a player meant a lot to me, because my training, my commitment, my love and respect for the game was tailored to always wanting to be the very best. Even though I was always second fiddle to Dominique, but I knew Lenny would bring the best out of me, because he was always calm. He was always like this cool, calm, collective spirit.
Sure.
His attitude, his approach to the game, before the game, after the game, he was even keel, and I really enjoyed that. And
that spoke to you as a player, right, Kevin?
Yes, big time, because, you know, you have Mike Vitello, which is a great coach. We're all young rookies. And Mike would have a thing about screaming and this and that, and that's part of the game. I get it. I mean, I was under Judd Heathcote at Michigan State, so I'm definitely used to screaming and yelling and all that. But when Lenny came, he sort of put everybody else at ease. And his thing was to go out and play hard, play defense, and play together. And I picked up on that. I was one of the captains right before. I was captain. Then they traded Dominique.
Yes, sir.
And John Konkak and myself were the captains of the team. And he put a lot on my shoulders, a lot of responsibility. Not that I would shy away from it, but hey, he made me believe more in myself. And we took it from there, and we tried to give everything we could to Coach Wilkens.
I was just talking backstage to a couple of our guests how I recall that 94-95 series. 94, of course, you guys were the 1 seed. Took care of Miami in 5 games. That was a tough one. And then, of course, Indiana. There was such an amazing thing about Lenny that I noticed when we first spoke on the phone was, like you said, his calmness, his ability, to keep people at ease without even trying, even without uttering a word. And no one knows that better than you and Rick and our guests. And I'm going to bring in our next guest, and we'll continue this great conversation right now. So I'll keep Kevin and Rick on screen. Thank you, gentlemen, again for being here. Guys, our next guest is ahead of his time, specifically right behind this rhyme. To his opponents, he'd rip it during prime time, and that's because he's Optimus Prime material. His heart and soul are pure. He eats negativity like cereal. He reminds others that their time to shine in this life is something you won't find. It will be purpose or progress if all you do is rewind. Guys and gals, he belongs to a bygone era, because the gift, guys and gals, is a present, like a Martha's Vineyard fish that's filleted or attempting to serenade, a loved one that accepts your heart without the need of a barricade. This man's energy, guys and gals and pals, is uplifting, as he's helped retired players who leave the game after a decade of doing what they loved, even long after they've played. He grew up in West Oakland, California, and cut his teeth at what is now known as Willie King Center. He became, guys and gals, an innovating force on the court, and he committed himself to the sport. All he had to do was cross the street and enter, as the Recreation Center was across the street from his home. Never did his dream, guys and gals, that this game would take him around the world, from Indiana to Canada, whether it was the NBA or off the grid. He paid his dues on Mosswood Park alongside Gary Payton, Greg Foster, and Jason Kidd. He attended McClemens High School, where a lot of legends and luminaries would rule. In those hallowed halls, guys and gals and pals, many would excel in sports. And guys, while being inducted, educated in math, science, and grammar, he had classmates such as Frank Robinson, Kurt Flood, Jim Hines, and the man who became known as MC Hammer. But our guest persevered, even back then, with maturity, humility, and a ton of knowledge. But our guest persevered, and he also, guys and gals, had a coach that said, forget Division I. Just go ahead and pick out a junior college. Little did his high school coach know that obstacles made this man better, as he would sooner find his school abroad and build his body up as it would appear to be statuesque. Gary Payton's pop paid his way to a showcase tournament, in which you might up looking grotesque if you tried guarding this man who would collect scores of recruitment letters from colleges and dump them on his coach's desk. At UTEP, he played under legendary coach Don Haskin, who told him that it wasn't all about offense like a Chicago Bull named Mike. If he committed himself, guys and gals and pals, to playing defense, he'd play as long as he'd like. After the 90 draft, it was off to Greece to polish his skills like a karate kid trained by Mr. Miyagi, a mid-90s me. Or in this case, in 1993, playing in Italy and working with the great Mike D'Antoni. He was addicted to winning, as he played in the conference finals an unbelievable 4 out of his first 6 seasons. He's a former All-Star and one of the greats. Let me bring up a few reasons. He played for the national team in '89 and 2002, but it wasn't merely what he did to a backboard, or many of the times he scored. He's helped retired players transition nicely into retirement, and he also won the Raptors Community Award. He's done it all. A 16-year professional basketball playing career. He served as president of the National Basketball Players Association and was a featured studio basketball analyst for ESPN and a co-host analyst for Sirius XM NBA Radio. He's also the CEO of the National Basketball Retired Players Association, and that's celebrated greatly on this station because it's not merely about one's vocation, but what they do to help others without reservation. So it's helping feed others, guys and gals. In Emeryville, he went back to where it all began. Such dedication and grace is something that we should all plan, as paying it back has more impact than a roundhouse kick from Van Damme. So give it up to a man that helps others grow. As I put a cap on this flow, no need to be bummed out like Homer Simpson going dough. We're about to greet a man, guys and gals, that shows us how to paint our souls like a beautiful Picasso as we look forward to today and tomorrow. So put your hands together for a kind, humble, legendary human being. Last name Davis, first name Antonio. Welcome, Mr. Davis.
What's going on, bro? This guy is amazing, man.
So are you.
Yeah, like nobody could tell me nothing. There's no intro like that, man. I really, really appreciate it.
Well, there's nobody that does so much for retired players and does things so selflessly like you, and I'm glad you're on here with Mr. Kevin Willis and Mr. Rick Barry. Antonio as well. You played under Lenny Wilkens as a Toronto Raptor.
Yeah, man, and I have to echo those sentiments. Kevin said, first of all, condolences to his family.
Yes, sir.
And to our basketball family, man. It's always very tough getting some news like this. And you just try to take it all in and understand it's a part of life. But at the same time, your heart goes out and it hurts. You know what I'm saying? So, sure. Yeah, man, I was fortunate, man. That year that Lenny came in, there was just so many things you could have been distracted by. We were fighting through a lot of difficult things, but he had, like Kevin said, had a way of coming in and every single day giving us this sense of calmness and confidence and all that we needed to go out there every day, play and be our best. And just the stories that he shared, right? We keep talking about the history of the game, right? Like,
sure.
Like these guys, Rick alluded to it, like we didn't have nothing and you guys have all this stuff. And my thing is, I've always felt it was important to, like keep this train going. Like when I walked into the NBA, I wanted to be better when I left than when I got there, right? So what can I do to continue to help that? And trying to get these current guys now to understand that they have a responsibility to leave this game better, so that the Rick Barrys of the world would look up and be proud of it. It's just one of those things we continue to talk about. But Lenny was just, man, incredible in all the things that, he'd go. We would just sit at lunch and he would tell me stories and I'd just be amazed at all the things that he had to endure that I didn't have to in that day, sure. Right? So I was always grateful for him taking that on and never backing down to a challenge and keep showing up, keep being great.
Participating in events with
coach.
Nelson Mandela and Desmond Tutu and Martin Luther King
Love
Jr.
Him. Yeah, people don't know. Incredible. I love him.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me on, man, to share that. I appreciate
Antonio,
it.
of course. We rarely, he and I talk basketball. I used to teach U.S. history, and it's no mystery how Lenny Wilkens was such a champion for civil rights, and we talked about things that were very deep and profound. But I think the thing that really struck me about Lenny was he didn't seem resentful. He never seemed bitter. He had every right to be, and he wasn't Kevin, Rick, and Antonio, and that was amazing. I could process that over the phone, ask myself, how would I be in that situation? I probably would be resentful and bitter, but Lenny wasn't. It's incredible.
Very bitter. Very bitter.
I'm going to bring in our next two guests, and then I have some questions for Rick, Antonio, and Kevin about Lenny Wilkens. And we thank you guys for inviting us to your living room again. Almost 7 million strong. We really appreciate, guys, the viewership, and thank you guys for propelling us to the top with Amazon Prime. Couldn't do it without you. I call this, guys, every Saturday night, I call it a free per-view event because it's absolutely free and definitely not a podcast. If you're stimulated by conversation, this is the place for you. I'm going to bring in our next guest right now, who's, again, part of the TKN family, like Antonio and Rick, and hopefully Kevin as well. Right now, guys and gals and pals, I'm going to bring him in, and I cannot wait because our next participant is a native of Spokane, Washington. He grew up in Canoga Park, California, and attended Crespi Caramont High School in Encino, where he would hear the fans scream and roar. He was a big UCLA Bruins fan, and he was always rooting for such legends as the late Bill Walton and Lou Alcindor. He used to religiously watch the Thursday tape delay games on Friday at midnight, where he'd cheer madly for the great John Wooden's teams, but soon he wouldn't have to take a back seat. His father, Casimir, who graduated from Gonzaga in 52, was 6'4", while his mom was 6 feet. By the time he was approaching his teens in 7th grade, our participant was also 6 feet as he grew and he grew. By 8th grade, he was 6'2", and by senior year in high school, he had topped out at 7 feet years before he played for the city of Brew. He was selected as a high school All-American, guys and gals and pals, in 1975, where he led the Celts to their finest season. Despite running into Reggie Theos in Inglewood, the team reeled off 17 consecutive victories, and our 7-footer was the primary reason. Crespi finished that season a sterling 25-2. A lot of people assumed that he was going to UCLA because the big man connection there. He decided he wanted to get away from home, and ultimately he would leave and play elsewhere. He took 6 visits to Washington State, Arizona State, USC, Gonzaga, and Kansas and NC State. But all that changed when he visited KU, as it felt natural and great. It felt like the place needed to be. Call it fate. He played 4 seasons in Lawrence from 75 to 79, but let's talk about 78. He helped the Jayhawks to a 24-5 record and the Big 8 championship, and he was among the team's top 5 scorers in 3 of his 4 seasons, as his future was taken off like a rocket with an efficient piston, and soon he'd be wearing the Deers. When he came out of college, he set a goal, which he accomplished through blood, sweat, and tears. He wanted to play in the NBA for 10 solid years. He accomplished just that, and during his 23-year coaching and scouting career that followed his playing years, this man soared all. If you stood toe-to-toe with him, you surely had some gall. He'd captivate you with his hustle like Bob Odenkirk in Better Call Saul. He was one of Milwaukee's most popular players, like an Orange Julius at your favorite mall. He's a humble, smart, kind human being, as his heart is way bigger than 7 feet tall, so give it up to a friend, colleague, and great. Last name Mokeski, first name Paul. Welcome, Paul, to the show.
You're unbelievable, man. I swear, next I gotta get my tape recorder because I gotta tape it so I can just carry it with me. So I feel like my career was bigger than it was.
No, man, it's easy to compliment you guys because you've done a lot, not only on the hardwood, but off the court. That's what I love, is peeling back the layers. And, you know, I talked about Paul, how Kevin is a Renaissance man and what he did for so many athletes, not just basketball players who really couldn't fit into a suit. I mean, man, oh, man, that's a great thing to think about as far as what you do off the court. Rick Barry, Mr. Renaissance man himself. I definitely could talk about what Rick Barry has done off the court as we do on our Hall of Fame Hangout show. Paul Mokeski as a coach. Antonio Davis helping retired players. That's the thing that makes it so easy to write these up here. But, Paul, 89-90, right before your season with the Golden State Warriors in 90-91, 89-90, you did play for Cleveland under Lenny Wilkens.
Yeah, it was. I just finished playing for the Milwaukee Bucks for 7 years under 2 Hall of Fame coaches, Don Nelson first, and then Del Harris. And both those coaches were, well, they're Hall of Fame coaches, but they had different ways of approaching things. Nelly was think outside the box, kind of willy-nilly, and Del Harris was more straightforward, communication. We called him the professor. And so I had signed as a free agent with Cleveland. And when I got to training camp, I didn't really know Coach Wilkens, but I observed him right off the bat, and he seemed to me like a mixture of both those guys. And he was a really good communicator. He knew his X's and O's. He talked to his players. And these guys know to be a coach at any level, especially the NBA, you need to know your stuff. If you don't know your stuff, and after 15 minutes of practice, those players are going to know you're faking it, and it's not going to work. And then after you know your stuff, you have to be able to communicate to all the players, all the different personalities. And Lenny was just stellar at that. He was just such a genuine guy, really quiet. I thought back in 82 games, I don't think I heard him raise his voice, but maybe 2 times at halftime. And that's amazing.
As an NBA
coach, in 82 games in the NBA, you go through all this crap, and he only raised his voice, but whenever he spoke, players listened because they respect him as a player, and a coach, and then maybe more importantly, as a person. And they, you know, a lot of coaches work a lot of different ways. Lenny made you want to please him. You wanted to make him happy.
I see. Okay.
Because he was that kind of person. And
do you think his personality lent itself to being a great coach?
Yeah, and he was so quiet. I'll tell you, so like, I had joined as a free agent. You know, they had Mark Price and Brad Daugherty and Hot Rod Williams and Lenny Wilkens and Mark Price and Larry Nance, all these guys. And I was just joining to kind of fit in and kind of feeling my way. But I don't think Coach Wilkens talked to me for the first month or 2 months of the season. he welcomed me and maybe
you made a joke with me on the phone the other day. You said you were wondering if you knew that you were on the team.
So at an like Rick just said, we travel commercial. We have layovers and we had to get our own bags. And so we're laid over in Atlanta or somewhere, I don't know where. And I see Coach Wilkens over there reading the USA Today like we all used to do. And I said, Coach, you got a minute? He goes, yeah, Mo, sit down. I go, do you think I'm fitting in well and helping the team? Yeah, you're doing great. You're doing just what we asked you. And I said, Coach, do you like me? He goes, yeah, of course. You're a great guy. I said, but you haven't said anything to me in 2 months. That's just the guy he was. And he was just a unique individual. And like Rick said, to be in the Hall of Fame as a player and a coach, and also with the Dream Team, that's just something. The basketball world, as these guys know and I know, I played for 12 years. I was a starter for one, and I was a backup, but I am part of a family. And that family, that circle is smaller than people think. And we're losing people in that circle, and it hurts. It's like losing a brother or, a family member. And, it's just tough. And, I just want to condolences to his family, and the whole NBA family is hurting.
His son Randy just texted me now. Actually, his son is an amazing human being as well.
Well, let me add one thing. Let me add one thing about
please,
Lenny,
Rick.
Where Lenny was, I think, unique, is that it was always said that great players will never make great coaches. And Lenny Wilkens was a great player who was a great coach. So put that to rest. Whenever I heard, I said, that's such bullshit. I mean, these people come up with concept. They didn't know what the hell they're talking about. I mean, the bottom line is if you do it the right way, you could be successful. I think one of the things that happened, and I think, Kevin, you brought to the attention that you played under some other guys who were not coaches. What Lenny did is that he made it so that, hey, a former player, to me, is always going to be as good or a better coach because you've lived it. You understand it. It's part of your being, and you can relate more to the players, and you try to do things. I know when I had the little short experience in the minor leagues and all, they never give me a chance in the big league, but is that I try to treat my players the way I wanted to be treated and not do the things that coaches I had did that I hated. And so you try to make it so that it's not an ordeal, that it's fun, that they look forward to practice fun, you communicate with them. And again, that's the biggest thing is communication in everything in life is so critical. That's why we have wars and we have problems and marriages and whatever. As a coach, you have to communicate with your players. And I think Lenny does. I didn't get to play with him. And so it was great to hear you guys talking about the fact that he was someone that got your respect and would communicate with you in a way where it wasn't screaming and hollering. I don't know about you guys. The last thing I needed was a coach to yell at me for doing something wrong because I'm more upset with myself than he could ever be.
Rick, I don't know what that's like. Paul and Rick, I don't know what that's like. The closest thing for me as an example are a couple ex-wives I had. But I understand. I can relate nonetheless. I can sympathize.
Rick's point is so on point. I mean, it used to drive me crazy playing in the NBA, 7-footer. I got to guard Kareem or Moses or whoever, and I got a 5'10" guy that never played in the NBA telling me what to do. Like, it sounds easy. Yeah, you try to do it.
I got to tell you guys, a very dear friend of mine, I want to bring him in right now. Our final guest is someone who knew Lenny very, very well. Obviously knows everyone here on the panel as well. A dear friend who's part of this network has been here for about 4.5 years. Guys, look at the clock. What time is it? It's time to dream lofty dreams. Frederick Douglass said, the soul that is within me, no man can degrade. Our next guest is not only a third rounder in this tournament, guys and gals, but he's also a dear friend and a man that places heavy emphasis on all things humane. There's so much to be said about this individual, as his kind expressions can reduce any man's stress. As a former NBA owner and GM, this man guided many franchises to victories and success. The man was the former general manager for the Clippers, the Nuggets, and the Hawks of Atlanta. He left each franchise better, as his presence was like a gift from dear old Santa. He became the GM of the Atlanta Hawks for 13 years, starting in 1990. From Dominique to Spud Webb to later to Kevin Willis, and of course, the finger waving to Ken B. The paper, guys and gals, the paper that he helped write for the White House should be consumed by the masses. If it were up to me, building character through sports would be taught in all of the classes. He served on the committee to select the team, the Dream Team, and coaching staff of Dream Team 3, and they won gold. His passion and knowledge of history and civil rights speak to me as I marvel at his mind. Maybe he'll convince me to give the New York Knicks another shot, although I wouldn't watch that team if I was blind. Forget Halloween. This man's presence is an absolute treat. He finds the best in people and is truly allergic to defeat. As my co-host at Intertwining Thoughts, his viewpoints are well worth a front row seat. He's multifaceted, diverse, and impactful like the mid-2000s Miami Heat. His heart is a champion, like an Olympic medal-winning athlete. Is he a favorite, guys and gals, in this show, in this broadcast? Yes. So, guys and gals, remember that this man's mind and heart and soul never take a back seat. Put that in a tweet. So let's welcome a good friend and human being. Last name Babcock, first name Pete. Welcome, my friend.
Hey, Avi, thank you very much. As always, you're incredible. It's great to see you guys. Kev, haven't
Hey,
seen you in
Pete.
a while.
What's up, buddy? How
Hey,
you doing?
you're looking good.
A big shout out, guys, Pete as well. I want to say this, a big shout out from, as I'm reading texts, Eddie Johnson showed up a bit earlier. Spencer Haywood showed up a bit earlier. And Jerry Lucas, Rick Barry's friend as well, getting rewarded, guys and gals. He's getting such an incredible award presented to him tonight in Ohio. So all wanted to be on the broadcast and are saying hello to Rick Barry, Kevin Willis, Pete Babcock, Paul Mokeski, and Antonio Davis. So, yeah. Shout
Awesome.
out. Yeah.
Appreciate
Pete,
it.
you of course, listen, Mr. Kevin Willis, Atlanta Hawk, Mr. Pete Babcock, Atlanta Hawk, Mr. Lenny Wilkens, an Atlanta Hawk. What was it like to work with Lenny behind the scenes? Because I think a lot of the fans out there, we see everything that the dynamic between the player and the coach. Not many people really think about the dynamic between the GM and the coach. What was it like working with Lenny behind the scenes in the NBA, Pete?
Well, Avi, I was lucky because Lenny and I spent 7 years together, which in the NBA is like a lifetime. And of my 42 years in the NBA, Lenny would have to be the best I worked with in terms of communication. So often in NBA teams today, you've got these cliques that develop between the coaching staff and the front office staff.
Right.
They butt heads, and they almost become enemies in a sense, which is sad. Never happened with Lenny, not for 1 minute.
Wow.
We talked every day about things we were doing. A great example is when Kevin, when we traded you to Miami, Lenny and I talked for hours because we both loved you. We both thought you were like you couldn't be a better teammate, aside from your talent, just that your presence with the team. So we talked for so much time because it was just so hard to pull the trigger. But business-wise, we thought we had to do it. And that was Lenny. That's how he was. You know, he cared about every individual. And we didn't, he never would agree to go along with something lightly. You know, he wouldn't just flippantly say, yeah, just go ahead and do that. I mean, it was always a lot of thought went into it, a lot of decision-making time. So, you know, Lenny loved you, Kevin, and thought the world of you. And
likewise.
As we all did. And, you know, that when we hired Lenny, I knew up front it was the right fit because of everything Kev said is his demeanor, his experience spoke for itself. You know, we were getting the guy who was going to set the all-time wins record. We're getting a guy who was a future Hall of Famer. He was so well established and respected around the game of basketball that I knew we had the right guy. And after our first meeting, we knew each other around the league, but we didn't know each other really well. And we met in Chicago at a hotel at the airport. Spent an afternoon together, and on that, right on the spot, I said, you know, Lenny, the job's yours. You know, we want to hire you. And he said to me,
which is not a common thing, right, Pete?
No. Usually it takes a few more interviews and things.
Sure.
But he said, well, I promised Elgin I would come out and meet with the Clippers.
Right.
Now I had been with the Clippers previously, so I kiddingly said to him, I was half serious and half kidding. I said, I want you to do me a favor. Fly out to LA, keep your commitment, be sure you spend a lot of time with Donald Sterling. Okay? Because
I was actually waiting to hear how long Donald
once
Sterling
you do that, you won't be able to get back here fast enough to sign a contract, okay? And he kind of laughed, you know, and then but later when he came back, he said, oh, you're right. You're so right. He said, it would not have been a good working situation for me. And so we negotiated. His contract was really easy to negotiate because his agent was Lonnie Cooper, and our goal, which Kev, you'll appreciate this, drove Stan crazy because I wanted us to make a statement to our media and our fans that we were going to pay whatever it took to get the highest profile, best coach we possibly could. So I told Lonnie Cooper, I said, we want to make Lenny one of the highest paid coaches in the NBA. Of course, Stan lost his mind over that.
Oh, yeah, easy.
But, you know, so, you know, it was financially. But so we got the contract done real quickly. Lonnie and I are sitting in my family room watching a playoff game, and it's on a Sunday, and the Insiders thing with Peter Vesey and whoever else was on. Peter Vesey comes on as Lonnie and I are finishing the fine points of the contract, and makes an announcement. They've got inside information that Lenny Wilkens is signing tomorrow with the Los Angeles Clippers, and we knew he was coming to us tomorrow. So it was kind of a light, fun moment for us. But Lenny was just the best. He bought into. I had this different view of that from a lot of GMs, I guess, is I thought that we should use the vehicle of the NBA and basketball to work with the underserved in our community. I thought that was important. Use it as a vehicle to help people that needed help. So whether, I don't know, Kev, you remember we redid Sally Palmer's house,
Yes.
a 75-year-old widow in the inner cities. Her house was falling apart. We spent a whole weekend refurbishing her house. And Lenny bought into that stuff 100%. He was on board. And so I think that's one reason we had such a great relationship, because he cared about people.
Yes.
And we went to reservations every September. Players and coaches as volunteers. Lenny always went. And it wasn't even, he didn't even think twice about it. Nobody's getting paid to do this. So he's just an exceptional human being. And
he had to grow up so early, Pete, because his parents, Leonard and Henrietta, when he was born, his father worked as a chauffeur. His mom was a candy factory worker. And then think about this: you're 5 years old, your father passes away suddenly when you're a preschooler. I mean, that's already hard in of itself. But then all of a sudden, you have to start working at the age of 7. That's when Lenny first started working, at the age of 7. And when I talked about his first job, when it occurred when he was 7 years old, delivering groceries, when I mentioned this to him, he said that in his spare time, he played basketball with youth leagues in Brooklyn, but never once saw himself as a professional player. And I asked him why. He didn't say because I wouldn't receive the opportunities or people would give me a shot because of the color of my skin. He didn't say that. He said because my goal was simply to feed my family. That was my goal. My goal was to take care of my mom. My goal was to take care of my siblings. I wasn't thinking about pro basketball because, Rick, as you would know as well, I mean, in those days, unless you were maybe considered one of the greats, a lot of players had second jobs back then. I know our young audience can't believe that, but in Lenny's time, a lot of players did have second jobs.
Are you kidding me? My first contract, I was the second player picked in the draft, and they offered me $12,500, and I had to make the team.
Wow.
Yeah. There you go. I mean, there you go. Well, I brought up the word. I want anybody who could jump in on this, Antonio, Paul, Pete, Rick, or Kevin. This is a question I wanted to ask the group. And again, anybody could jump in if they'd like to. Earlier on, I brought up the word class because that's the first word that comes to mind when I think of Lenny. Again, over these last few years, speaking to him on the phone regularly, about once a week, once every 10 days, the conversations would go everywhere, but he was always class personified. My question for you is, can you provide an example for our viewing audience what made Lenny such a class act as a human being? And anyone can jump in. Any thoughts of what an example that made Lenny such a class act as a human being?
His presence, I think, when he walked in the room, he walked into practice.
Right.
Again, everybody spoke on this as far as the respect that he gives the players or anyone in his company, that he gives that respect. When we travel, we wanted the best hotels. When he first got there, I remember we had these YMCA lockers, and he came in and said, "What is this? We're gonna tear this out of here." It's about making the team feel special and feel like we care about them. And so everything you do, everywhere you go, everything that you represent in this Atlanta Hawk uniform,
sure,
has to be on this certain level. And that's what Lenny was about. And I loved him for that. And it goes back to his calmness, his cool demeanor. That smile was unbelievable. And again, when he didn't speak to you, you knew something you thought something was up. But that was just Lenny.
Sure.
I don't know. I don't know if any of us here could actually know the answer. Because, obviously, his mother. He lost his father at a very early age.
Yes.
I mean, his mother, incredible impact. And who else was early in his life? Whoever those people were, they instilled unbelievable characteristics to him and taught him what a good person is all about. I don't know who it was, but it had to be those people. Because
And Rick, can you sense that as a player that Lenny had that sort of that same, I guess, that same personality and presence that he had as a coach? Did you recognize that in him as a player as well?
Well, I just recognized his greatness as a player, and he was a great player. And then I got to know him later on when we were, we got a chance to spend some time with him and saw him more as a person then. And everything that the guys are saying about him is, I found that to be the case as well. But whoever got him at early age, and I'm assuming it has to be a lot to do with his mom, whether he had a grandmother or a grandfather, whoever, those people are the ones credit for helping to form him into the person that he became.
Yeah, I think Rick's right. Yeah, that makes sense.
I think, there's people out there, we all know that have it. They just have it. And some, like Rick said, someone gave it to him, probably his mom growing up, and then they become that way, and then they're that person. Besides these guys on this panel right here, besides them, there's two other people that I think had that respect and that feeling about him. And the other guy is Dr. J. And I always thought that he had that it factor. And you always knew as soon as you walked in the room.
That's right.
I came from Milwaukee, 7 years in Milwaukee with some great coaching. And I went to the training camp for the first time, and they had a great team. The first thing I noticed was all the players, Mark Price, Brad, all those guys immediately respected him and listened to him. And that, as soon as he walked on the court, and then after a while, then I understood that, and that became me also. And I think, there's just, you're kind to people, you have knowledge, you share your knowledge, and you respect people, and it comes back around, and normal people can see that. You can see it.
Absolutely,
He probably got some from his coaches too that he was around, and he probably, like I said earlier, he probably also realized that he had to avoid doing some of the things that the coaches that he had that he thought were not the things that made sense to him. And because you learn, life is a series of experiences, and so experiences that you have help to form you as well. And so I would assume that he learned a lot over the years from the various coaches that he have. Coaches,
and even later in his playing career, Rick, he was a player coach too.
Well, but coaches have so much more impact on players than they realize. I just don't think that they understand that, especially in the early years. I mean, you can have such an impact on a young man for development as he's growing older, and it's the younger people who get their hands on these guys that need to be taught and have the right values, because a lot of guys, their attitudes and stuff come from the experiences that they had in life, and a lot of them had some really bad experiences, and the ones that did and overcome it are the ones that I have incredible respect for, that they were able to become who they are and become good people despite what they had to deal with.
All the obstacles they dealt with. Antonio, my question for you is this, my friend. Of course, Kevin Willis as a Toronto Raptor as well. Lenny Wilkens only had one more stop after Toronto, was New York. Playing under Lenny Wilkens, Antonio, in Toronto, even at his advancing age at that point, he didn't have many more stops left as a coach. Did you see that fire burn out at all, or was he still, from all accounts, from what you're hearing from this great panel, did he still have that fire in his heart as a coach?
Yeah, I always, every game we went out, he wanted to win for sure.
Right.
And I think Rick said it best. The fact that he wasn't this guy just yelling and screaming and cussing in your ear. Was just tremendous. It gave you tremendous, not just respect for him, but when he said something, you really listened, right? I can remember one time, and I don't know, Kev, if I'm telling this right, but I can remember we were playing like crap, and we had one of those video sessions that you never want to go to after you have a crappy game.
Right.
And it was like Lenny would go and just pause it and look at you, not even say nothing, but you kind of knew, like, oh yeah, you just put your head down, and he'd go pause it again and look at the next person. It was the loudest like experience we had with nobody saying a word, right? And you felt it because he was just that guy, right? You kind of knew, because in practice he would tell you the same thing. You would go out there and screw up. He didn't have to yell and scream and cuss at you. He'd just come over and grab you and like, didn't we say, you know, and you feel like, oh yeah, you're right, coach. You're right.
Right.
He didn't have to say much, but it was so impactful when he said those words.
And I'm thinking in college.
When I first interviewed him, Avi, one of the first, when we talked about coaching philosophy, one of the things that stuck with me was that he talked about, in his calm manner, how his philosophy was treat all the players with respect and treat them as professionals. And he expected you to come and do your job every day. He was going to come and do his job every day. He wasn't going to yell and scream. That wasn't how he operated as a human being. He respected the players. He expected them to show up and do their job every day. And that his strength as a coach was coaching players who had that mentality. You know, it was harder for him. But when we tore the team apart after the 99 season, which was a huge mistake, but when we tore the team apart and we had, you know, different personalities, we had J.R. Ryder and issues that, you know, were above and beyond. No, we had Deke. But when we had like JR, he had problems that we professionally couldn't deal with.
Sure.
You know, we're basketball people. We weren't psychologists, sociologists. And the problems Jay had at those times, we really couldn't help him. Those weren't Lenny's kinds of guys. You know, that was hard on him, you know, because he expects you to show up. He loved coaching guys that came to do their job every day.
Professionals, yeah.
He enjoyed it, and he put everything he had into it. He's just a remarkable human being.
I want to say this to you guys as well, because when we lost Lenny, made some calls. One of the people that I write for is John Goodman. I've been writing for him for a long time as well, way before I worked for Universal. And he was a basketball fan. I told him about Lenny's passing, and you guys talked about silence. He was silent for about a good 90 seconds on the phone. I said, did you ever meet Lenny? I mean, I'm thinking to get that sort of a reaction, he must have crossed paths with Lenny at some point. He said, no, but I would have liked to. I've heard so many good things about Lenny, people in the same circle. So even affecting people that he never even met, to have that sort of a 90-second pause and delayed reaction, verbally speaking, it's incredible. We're not going to stay here much longer. I do have a couple more questions. Again, I want our audience to thank Mr. Kevin Willis, Mr. Rick Barry, Mr. Pete Babcock, Mr. Paul Mokeski, and Mr. Antonio Davis for their time here live. I want to play a very brief video in dedication to Lenny. It's all about Lenny. If you guys can stay on screen, we'll talk about the video and a couple of questions I have momentarily. Can we count the accolades in this man's resume? Probably not. There are too many. Let's welcome a humble, talented, sincere, and kind man. Last name Wilkens, first name Lenny.
Yeah, Avi.
How are you, man?
Wow. I didn't expect all that.
Well, you deserve it. Your father died suddenly when you were a preschooler. You and your siblings were only supported by the wages that your mom earned. And yet, you kept your emotions at bay. You worked hard in school, there's no doubt. You stayed out of trouble. But you couldn't trust or even get involved with people. Your father died. They looked down their noses at you and your family. And as a result, you built a wall at that time. Is that right?
No question about it. Certainly, you know, people were very standoffish at the time. And Mom was Irish descent. And certainly, my father being Afro-American, it didn't kind of click, so to speak, back at that time. She reminded us that we had to be proud about who we were, where we came from.
You were 9-time All-Star in 10 seasons and finished as a runner-up for MVP to Wilt in '68, when Wilt was essentially passing the ball a bit more, doing a lot more on offense than just, of course, scoring. Now, shortly thereafter, you were traded to Seattle, but by implementing the fundamentals that made your playing career successful, you guided the Sonics to a winning record. But after spending some time in Seattle, you realized that there was no better place for you in Maryland than the Northeast.
No question about it. You know, it was a blessing in disguise.
Come on, one of the most underrated big men in the history of the game. Gosh, talk about the Hall of Fame. I mean, this is a guy who had one of the sweetest jump shots. Yes. Wouldn't miss a free throw later in his career. One of the greatest defensive rebounders, too, to ever play the game. And guys, we're talking about the pre-perm Jack Sikma. The perm.
Yeah. having had the opportunity to meet Dr. King and seeing how humble he was, and he knew, he got a little glimpse of the future, and he knew what it held, but he wanted still to be a part of helping America grow and be what it could be.
And Mr. Lenny Wilkens, can helping others be a key to fulfillment and growth?
Life becomes better when we share knowledge, when we help others to achieve, to be better. The community becomes better. How do we fit in? How do we affect society? What's going on around us? Are we making it a better place? If we don't hear one another, how do we help one another? So I think that with young people today, we got to hear you. We got to know what you're thinking. And then how do we use it?
Carl Reiner said this to a room of people, not just me. But he said, find someone in your life who speaks your language so that you don't have to spend your life translating your soul. It really resonated. Does that resonate with you, Mr. Matthews, Mr. Wilkens?
Yep. No question about it. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to celebrate you and what you stand for all the time. You have a friend in me, my friend, from the heart. Lenny, did you have a nice time?
I had a good time. Thank you so much.
You pay to see Larry Bird as a regular on the soap opera General Hospital, Big Bird the Bounty Hunter, or Conan the Librarian. Which would you pay to see and why?
Probably Larry Bird.
Which would you pay for to see and why, Lenny? Dikembe Mutombo, the runway model, cast of Goodfellas as studio audience members on Jerry Springer, or Shaquille O'Neal, the professional ice skater?
I would see Dikembe Mutombo.
I love it. But I'm an avid fan of the game of basketball. And seeing how your players respect you, hold you in high regard, and how you communicate back with people is a page that I took from my coaching style when I direct talent on set. So I want to thank you for that because it really made a huge difference. It really did.
Well, I appreciate it.
What a gem.
Beautiful, man. Very nice.
Thank you, sir.
Very nice.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. He was such a remarkable man, and he we on this show, the Celebrity Tournament, I call it a sport of the mind. Everyone but Kevin has participated in this on screen, of course. Rick Barry's in round 3, Pete Babcock's in round 3, Antonio Davis is in round 3, Paul Mokeski's in round 3. Kevin Willis might be a participant in this. You never know. But guys, we would always have topics that were philosophical that I would conceive, but then we'd have some moments of levity. And Lenny would look forward to that. He'd love to have a good laugh. And I guess my question for you guys is this. It's maybe a question that can make you think. And you don't have to answer this right away. If something comes to mind, let me know if you can. If you could title Lenny's story, you could title Lenny's life story based on how you knew him, what would that title be and why? If you could title Lenny's life story, what would it be and why? And before anyone answers that, I want to read some comments here. And as soon as you guys have an answer, please feel free to jump in. If you could title Lenny's story, what title will you come up with and why? Thank you, Miranda. Appreciate the comments. Lenny Wilkens was definitely part of the TKN family. There's no doubt about that. Pierre Kelly, Lenny would have been a favorite for the finals. Absolutely. Great positivity in the comment section as always. You are the most positive community out there. There is zero doubt about that. I'm going to actually throw it over to Pete Babcock right now. Pete, I'm going to try to put you on the spot. If you could title Lenny's story, what title would it be and why? First draft, we could always revise it.
Let's see. Well, that's a great question, as all your questions are.
Thank you, sir.
Wow. I don't know how you you condense a personality like Lenny into like one phrase. Boy, it's unique, respect, caring, compassion, I mean, he had. I mean, boy, I don't have a good answer.
No, that's okay. Sure.
The other guys are a lot smarter than I am, so ask them, okay?
I want to throw it over to and I'll come back to you, Pete. I know it's so hard when you knew him so well, and there's so many things. He was all encompassing. Antonio, if you could give a stab at this, a first draft, the title for Lenny's life story.
You know, the first thing that came to mind was just kind of how, how quiet he was in such a giant, statuesque person, right? Like, he wasn't loud,
sure,
but his personality and his knowledge was very loud, right? Like, he can whisper something at you, but you felt it. You know what I mean? So I started thinking about like this kind of gentle giant, this loud, this quiet, loud person. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
And I couldn't put those words together because they were such extreme in so many ways.
Can I ask you this, Antonio
my
and Pete?
stuff, Antonio. Stop stealing my stuff. I got the perfect name.
What about this? How about our viewers, guys? Look at this one here, Rick.
To steal the title of a great movie, and if you haven't seen it, you need to watch it sometime with John Wayne, The Quiet Man.
The Quiet Man. Quiet Man.
I haven't seen that. I'm gonna have to go check that out.
Don't watch it, but The Quiet Man, I think, epitomizes Lenny Wilkens. It would be a great title for his biography or story.
Man.
I like that a lot. Our viewers, Eric has Celestial Serenity from Eric. Eric typed that in right now. Celestial Serenity. Interesting there. You guys can play along in the comment section. Why not? We're live here as always. Kevin, Pete, Antonio, anything at all that would come to mind as maybe a title for the life of Lenny Wilkens?
I'd go with, I just thought of this.
Okay.
Listen to Antonio picking off of some of his thoughts. The compassionate basketball whisperer.
Oh, wow. Wow. Basketball whisperer. Yeah. I like that. That's great. That's a good one. Yeah. Kevin, anything come to mind at all?
Oh, so much, man.
Sure.
You kept hearing me talk about how cool and collective he was, how whatnot, but calm storm.
Calm storm.
Calm storm.
Yeah.
He's calm with stuff, but when he wanted to get his point across, or if he wanted to get your attention, don't think he couldn't do it, because he could definitely do it. There's no question about that. Because I've had experiences where his voice went up a little bit with me before. And so it's there, but he's always like a calm storm, even keeled stuff. And, but that's, I mean, we all said a lot of great things about him as far as his demeanor.
Sure.
And it's a lot of, how he's grown up, how he was raised, some of the things he had to go through as a child, his mentors growing up. Once he got to that point, and then once he came to his own family, now we have to take this thing and balance everything. And once he did that, play basketball was obviously what we all did, was his escape, and to give himself a better way of life, and all the stuff that he learned and gained from other people. He harnessed all that and put it all together and said, now, when I coach, I'm going to pull from here, here, and here and create this amazing thing, which is Lenny Wilkens.
So well said. Wow. So, yeah. So, in essence, being able to pay it back while paying it forward. So, you take something from a Lenny Wilkens and through his sage advice and coaching, and being able to implement that as a current coach is the ultimate honor. What an honor that is. No question, Mr. Willis. Antonio, any title come to mind at all for, hate to give you guys on a Saturday night, a project?
Man, and I am not a creative.
No, I love what you were saying. I thought you were hitting on so many things that epitomize Lenny. Really.
I'm just, and I want to say this, and we may have time later, but I'm just honored, man, to be on with these incredible gentlemen talking about such a great man.
Amen. Amen.
And I wouldn't spend my Saturday no other way, and
thank you.
That film, that tribute you just showed, really touched my heart. We've, in this job that I have, and constantly, some of the news that we get when we get it, and our legends pass away, it's like a small piece of our history is just kind of, leaving. And we had a conversation the other day about making sure that we have these conversations with these incredible human beings with all the experience and knowledge and history of the game of basketball, so that we can start capturing and harnessing that, so that it doesn't leave this earth. So I'm just honored, man, and I'm glad that I had a chance to just speak my 2 cents about Lenny, because he was such a big part of basketball history, being that he coached and played. So thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you. I think physical energy is one thing, but I think he's still with us spiritually. Rick, please.
Let's get something in, Antonio.
Please.
Antonio, I think, has an opportunity to do something super special. I was on the retired players board multiple times.
Right.
I think that he's doing an outstanding job as the leader, and if he continues to, he's doing, he can finally turn it into the type of organization that I was hoping it could have been decades ago, and it wasn't. And so he can have a tremendous impact on the future of all of the players who have participated in the NBA. So congratulations to you on the job that you're doing. Keep up the great work. And one last thing, because I don't understand why the NBA, in part of the next negotiation, why ex-players, former players don't get free NBA TV.
What's up with that?
You know what? I got a present for you. I'm gonna send it to you. You've got it. I got it for you.
I'm serious. I mean, I like to watch and keep up with what's going on, but why the hell should we, as former players? It doesn't cost them hardly anything to be able to watch NBA games.
Listen, I just negotiated that, and I was only able to get up to close to 100. So we're sending them out now, kind of randomly, but I'll make sure.
Yeah.
Get one. From
and one more request,
forward.
Antonio. How come every time they make the playoffs, which has been far and few in between, how come the Brooklyn Nets are always an NBA TV in the first round? They never got that TNT love back in the day, or the ESPN love. They're always on NBA TV in round one.
That's a business thing, man.
Yes.
Pete may know more about that than I
right.
do. That's business.
Come on, Pete. You got to give me something.
No, I've been out of it for quite a while now. So
yeah.
Today's world is a little bit different than my world was.
Well, I want to tell you guys again, we're going to leave in about 2 minutes. Thank you for joining us live. One last question, and really, I was going to bring this up because I know it sounds sappy, but I'd rather be sappy than cynical in life. Why be cynical? I do feel like there is a transfer of energy. I'm not going to try to sound all pseudoscience, but I feel like there's one sort of energy that is spiritual, and I believe that side doesn't die. I believe that flame never burns out, and I do believe Lenny's with us, and obviously with his family, and guarding them, and maybe doing things that he couldn't do here on this planet. I believe that happened with my dad, who died last year. I play tribute to him all the time. And you guys have become such dear friends. Getting to know Kevin now. Rick, we've been grateful. You shared with me what happened with your brother when it happened. And that meant a lot to me. And Pete, all the hardships that people that you and I care about that have passed on in this NBA family that you bring up. And Antonio, God almighty. I mean, the first 5 minutes I spoke to you, I was like, I really like him. Because you're sincere, you wear your heart on your sleeve, and I echo Rick's sentiments about what you're doing with the Players Association. I stand behind you, and I can tell you this as well. This is not one of those Hollywood things. I don't do that, but I know that my studio Universal is behind that. You just let me know. I know our sponsor, Progresso Soup, is behind you if you need help, and I also know, guys and gals and pals, that Amazon Prime will be as well. Final question for the panel. Anybody could jump in, and then we will bid everyone adieu. This is, I think, a question that would be perhaps multifaceted, but maybe something we could jump into right away. If you could ask Lenny one more question, what question would that be and why? If you could ask Mr. Lenny Wilkens one final question, what would it be and why?
Who had the most impact on your life?
It's a great question. Rick, can you repeat that to our audience one more time, my friend?
Impact on your life.
Who had the most impact on your life?
Impact on your life.
That's a fantastic question. That's a fantastic question. And I'm going to go to our comment section. The moment Antonio, Pete, or Kevin want to jump in, please feel free to do so. This family here at TKN is strong. You're right about that, Phil. Appreciate you guys. We have about 2,300 watching live. Thank you for watching live. You guys are really the foundation, guys. Without you, we would not have a solid foundation. In the comment section,
nothing else would get the answer to the question we were talking about before: is how did he become the person he became?
Yeah.
How did he become the? Yeah, that's a great question.
I think I would piggyback on what Rick said, because Lenny and I had an opportunity to work with John Lewis on a number of projects.
Oh, wow.
And I know how much respect he had for John, and I did also. And I spent 13 years working with John on a bunch of different projects. But I think if you went back to what Rick said, it'd be real interesting to find out, who had the biggest impact on his life, because there were so many people that, because Lenny and I used to talk all the time. He knew how much I loved the history of the game, and how much I loved, was involved with the civil rights movement, and how I got interested.
He froze up, I think.
And so I picked his brain constantly. He was teaching me so much about his experiences, and we talked about Cleo Hill with the St. Louis Hawks and what happened there, and we went back and so much about. And to this day, I talk to Wayne Embry 2 or 3 times a month still today, and he's been a mentor of mine for a long time, and as Lenny was. But I think Rick's question is by far to me would be the most important thing to know.
I asked him a question once when I taught history. I told this story. I stopped teaching history for several reasons years ago, not because I became a professional screenwriter, but I wasn't allowed to teach the real history. I once wrote on the blackboard Frederick Douglass's last name, and my assistant principal walks in, and she wasn't trying to be funny, but she whispered to me and said, "Avi, you misspelled his last name. You put 2 S's. I go, "It has 2 S's." So for me to realize our own faculty had no idea or respect, I brought in Diane Nash, who's still alive and a friend of mine. She's a freedom writer, an original freedom writer. And there aren't too many freedom writers still alive. And she's a trailblazer and paved the way. And when I brought her in to talk to my students and it was cleared, she met my AP, my assistant principal, that very one who I just brought up. And my AP was introduced to her, and she gave her a simple head nod. And I said, that's how you're greeting a freedom writer? With a head nod, a what's up kind of a thing? A nonverbal? This woman paved the way. This woman was there to survive hardships and make life a lot simpler for future generations. And I realized right there and then, when I told Lenny this story, he knew Diane. And he said, I regret this, but he says, Avi, I want to get on screen with her if you can make it happen. Diane's health was failing, Diane Nash, so she couldn't get on. But he told me, he said, the only thing the future can be hopeful about is that the past never dies. If you really want to know your mistakes, go to the history books, do your own research, and realize that you can make the same mistakes again, but you can minimize them if you know your past. And when Lenny said that to me, it wasn't on the show. It was just through a conversation. That's how all of you said this. When he spoke, people listened. I know I sure did. Kevin and Antonio, if you could ask Lenny Wilkens, as we bid everyone to do here right now, one final question, what would it be and why?
I'm always curious as to, our historians of the game, what do they kind of see as greatness? I know there's this debate about who's the best and all that, which is a piece of crap to me, but more of what would be, like, I know he's seen so many great players, right? Like, how does he define greatness? Is it the guy who's taking that last shot? Is it like, who is it? You know what I'm saying? So I'm just always curious as to how they define greatness. You know what I mean? Like, how do you define great players? So that would probably be the one thing that I think I'd ask him.
It's a great question, Antonio. Lenny, how would you define greatness with his vast experience? Kevin, if there would be a question you would ask Lenny?
I would say, Coach, how would you coach this generation of players? Okay, this generation of players, Lenny being definitely old school, but then having to adjust, which I know he's capable of adjusting, but how would he coach this generation of players? With all the money these guys are making, the way the league is sort of going, it's globalized now. It's everywhere, and it's on everything. And how would he coach this generation of players?
That's a great question. That's a great question.
I would have one other question I would ask in basketball related. The other one is the more overall cost of question. And I always would ask any player this. What 4 players in the history of the game would you want as your teammates at the different positions?
Wow. That's a great question. That's a great question. Rick, who are your 4?
I was about to say, Rick, who would you say?
Well, this is the team that I would play with, and I would play against anybody. And I can tell you, first of all, Wilt Chamberlain's my center.
Right.
Bill Russell's moving to power forward. I don't need him to score a freaking point. I defy anybody to think they're going to go in and dunk balls like they do today. And then I'm going to play the small forward.
Okay.
Probably the easiest one of the easiest ones for me to pick is I'm taking Michael Jordan as my 2 guard. And the most difficult one, I think, is the point guard position. If the 3-point shot is part of it, I have to play with Steph Curry.
All day.
Wow. If the 3-point shot is a part of it, yeah. That's a great 5.
If the 3-point shot is not part of it, it's a very, very difficult decision between Oscar Robertson and Magic Johnson. And here's the deal. I'd probably take Magic over Oscar only because Magic Johnson, I'd take him over Oscar because Oscar could get you 30 all the time, and Magic would rather get 20 assists. And I want to get a few shots with all the guys I'm playing with.
You're being honest. You're being honest. I like that. If I had an all 50s team, I would go Maurice Stokes, who great tragedy there with Maurice Stokes. We know what happened to him. Maurice Stokes. I would have Bill Russell, who came in the league in 56, as either center or forward. I'd go with Elgin, who came in, of course, in 58. I would go with, I think I'd probably have to go with Heinsohn. And then for my 2 guard, I might go with Gus Johnson.
2 guard? Gus Johnson wasn't a 2 guard.
He played forward and guard.
No, Gus Johnson was. But Gus Johnson was not a 2.
A great rebounder, 6'6", but he played the 2. Oh, okay.
He
wasn't
2. Honeycomb, man. Honeycomb had that.
But that's the 50s team. 60s, Oscar and West, backcourt, probably. Russell, Chamberlain, like you said. Chamberlain, power forward. And by the way, I'm humble. I'm the least qualified person to pick this team. Let's say that right now. And Elgin Baylor would be the 3, even though he could play 4. And I mean, Elgin Baylor, military service on the weekends, and would still play in the NBA and drop 30, 40 points and grab 15 rebounds a game. So, I mean, I can't leave Elgin off that list.
Elgin was my boyhood hero in basketball.
Was he really?
Yeah.
Elgin?
Yeah.
Wow.
Hey, Avi, here's a history question for the whole group. John Wooden was asked when he was coaching at UCLA towards the end of his career. He said he was asked by somebody, who is the greatest basketball team you've ever seen? You know what the answer was?
No.
The New York Renaissance.
Wow, yeah.
When Coach Wooden graduated from college, he played in a semi-pro industrial league, and the Renaissance was a traveling all-black team that would make up their own schedule, and so Coach Wooden got to play against them, and a guy named Robert Douglas was the owner of the team and the head coach, and Coach Wooden, and I got to keep in mind, Coach Wooden saying this years later. This isn't like 2 years later. Back when he's almost retiring from UCLA, he said the Renaissance were the most disciplined, well-coached, and talented team that he's ever seen in his life. Wow. And you can go back and there's stories about Red Auerbach when he's 16 years old as a high school player, heard about the Renaissance, took the train to Harlem by himself, bought a ticket to the Harlem Renaissance Ballroom. He was the only white person in the crowd, 16 years old, sits in the crowd, He wants to see the Renaissance play because he heard how good they were. He goes in the locker room afterwards, somehow gets in, introduces himself to Bobby Douglas, the coach, and asks him strategy questions. Bobby, you've heard this before, but
yeah.
And he said, "Coach, can I ask you a strategy question?" And Bobby Douglas says, "Yeah, go ahead." And he said, "Well, the first half you were beating that team by 20. You were blowing them out, playing man-to-man defense. You went to a zone in the second half. They came back and almost tied up the game. Why didn't you go back to your man-to-man defense?" And Bobby Douglas said, "Well, let me explain it to you. See, everybody sitting in this locker room, I have contracts with every one of them. I have to pay them. The way I pay them is by selling tickets. That's how we generate the income. If you notice, there was a packed house out there, right? If we won that game by 30, which we could have done, a lot of those fans aren't coming back because they weren't that entertained, right? And the second thing is we make up our own schedule, and it's not easy to find people to play against. I want that team to come back again. If we beat them by 4 or 5 points, they may think to themselves, "Hey, we got a chance to beat them if we got some time." Right?
Right.
He said, "There's no way that team's beating us, but they may think they can. If we beat them by 30, they may not schedule us again." So from a business perspective, and so they developed this bond that developed the rest of their lives. And Bobby Douglas is the one that helped Red get a scholarship to college, helped him get his coaching jobs, including going to the Boston Celtics, and is the one who called Red and said, "Abe Saperstein has 2 players that he'd like to get rid of on the Globetrotters, Sweetwater Clifton and Chuck Cooper,
yeah.
because they're harassing him about better pay, better living conditions, and because up at that point, the NBA owners were told, don't touch." Abe Saperstein said, "Don't touch my players, and as long as you leave my players alone, I'll play double headers in your building," because the NBA was slow to catch on, and they didn't have great crowds, so they needed the Globetrotters to come in to help sell tickets in these double
College game
headers.
had better crowds, yeah.
Yeah. So as soon as Red found out that he could do that, he drafts Chuck Cooper, and this little known fact, he signed Sweetwater to a contract right after the draft. But Abe Podoloff, the commissioner, didn't want 2 black players on one team, and so he told Red he's going to disapprove that contract, and Sweetwater ended up being sent to the Knicks instead. But anyway,
so that's a hell of a story. And guys, you brought up Red Auerbach. How about this? This was the night that Lenny Wilkens, of course, broke that record. There's Ken Norman behind Lenny, and in dedication to Red Auerbach, Lenny, of course, lit up that cigar. A lot of you remember this. Happened in 1995. That's when Lenny broke the record, all-time wins, which he held for a very, very, very long time as well. Yeah. I definitely want to see this. Just real quick, Kevin Antonio, I guess your all-time starting 5 alongside you.
I would say I'm not going to go back as far, but I'm going to say when you're talking about team, I'm taking Steph.
Right.
I'm taking Tim Duncan.
Right.
Taking MJ.
Yep.
At my center, I'm going with Hakeem Olajuwon.
Sure.
And I think my small forward, I got to go with the human highlight film.
Dominique. Kevin, that's a great team. And you might go, man, how do I get this deep information? But didn't Olajuwon
wait a minute.
Yeah.
Let me retract.
Okay.
Let me retract. I gotta retract this because I honestly mean this in my heart.
Okay.
I'm throwing Manu Ginobili in there.
Ginobili.
Oh, no question.
Yeah. You were their vet when they were rookies. When he was a rookie,
yeah,
0203.
Yeah. No question, Ginobili. Any team. If I had a team, he would be on any team I was on.
Ginobili, any team. Yeah, that's a great pick.
No question.
Kevin, you may find this fascinating. Some deep information here. Did Hakeem Olajuwon once grab you and say, "Man, you are so intense. You are intense." Right?
I was, when I was obviously younger, but we were playing in Houston, and I was the Hawks, and I come out early to warm up like normal, and I'm warming up, and I'm the first one on the first play on the court. And so I'm warming up 20 minutes, 30 minutes. And then all of a sudden, Hakeem comes out. I see him coming out the tunnel. He comes out on the court and he's laughing, he's smiling, he's talking and whatnot. And I'm doing my thing and I got this look on my face like I'm ready to kill somebody, right? And so he's sitting, as I got to leave, he's right there on the edge of the court. And he's just standing there and he's talking. And I got to go past him and go back to the locker room.
Right.
And he says, Willis. I say, what's going on, man? He says, you got a minute? I say, yeah. He said, why do you always look so mean and look like you're unhappy? And I say, no, that's just my MO, man. I'm getting myself ready. He said, all you got to do, man, is just be calm. It's just a game. He said, it's just a game.
Have fun.
Just a game. Have fun. Enjoy it. And just smile, man. And so I said, yeah, okay. And I still got this kind of look on my face.
Yeah,
man. And I could not shake that for years.
Wow.
I took it to heart. Took it to heart. And I changed my whole, even though I was aggressive,
sure,
but I never forgot what he said. And then when I got the opportunity to play with him, and I went to Houston, I brought that up to him. And I told him, I said, man, thank you. Him and Willis Reed changed the whole trajectory of my career with a few little mental advices to it. Sure did.
Sure, yeah. Willis was so making sure Willis Reed. Correct me if I'm wrong. Willis Reed at one point came on or grabbed you maybe and said, "Hey," he brought up something irrelevant to what was going on, but it made you take your mind off of that. Is that true?
Okay. We were playing. I got 3 fouls in about. Oh man, I got 2 quick fouls.
Yeah.
And still
like your favorite TV show or something like that. Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I get another quick one. And so now I'm furious at the referees.
Right.
And then I'm at the end of the bench. I don't want to hear nothing. I don't want Gatorade. I don't want anything.
Right.
And so I go on the end of the bench and sit down. And I'm looking around. I'm furious. And I catch Willis leaning up in a chair looking down at me.
Sure.
And he looks at me. And I didn't even give it too much thought. And then about 30 seconds later, he walks down there.
Yeah.
The timeout. He walks down. He's sitting next to me, and he starts telling me about something that got nothing to do with that foul I did. Nothing to do with that. Anything. Nothing. And before I knew it, man, he said something to me that was like, had nothing to do with it, but he had me in stitches, man. I was laughing so hard. And then he said, now when you go back out there, play your game.
Wow.
Relax and play your game.
Take your mind off that.
And from that point on, man, what Willis said to me and what Hakeem said to me, it sticks to me till this day.
That's incredible. That's great. And I love
Yeah.
hearing such advice that like you guys heard from your own vets and then passed it on when you were a vet. That's a great story there. Yeah. I mean, I had heard it was like he was bringing up some random TV show and you're like, why is he bringing up a TV show?
Man,
Or
it
something
was so
like that?
random, man. And it had me laughing, man. I couldn't shake the laugh. I couldn't shake the laugh.
And it was effective, though. It was effective.
It was very effective for the rest of my career.
Wow.
For the rest of my career.
Yeah.
It was. So I understood how to balance the two.
Sure.
And he said, you're one of the strongest guys in the league, man. He said, you gotta change that. Put the mental first and use the physical when you need to use it. But mentally, that's where you want to sharpen your skills at. And after that, over, man. It was
Took
over.
that with you all the time. That's a great story.
Yeah.
And Antonio, again, great stories from Antonio Davis, Rick Barry, Pete Babcock, and Kevin Willis, and Paul Mokeski as well. Some tech issues. I do want to say this, guys. We're about to leave right now. Antonio's going to give us his starting 5. Then I have a very brief 2-minute outro about Lenny again, a different sort of a video. Did you guys have a nice time tonight?
Great, Adam.
Thank you.
Oh, it's enjoyable. I've got to leave because happy wife, happy life.
Yes, sir. Thank you, my friend.
See you guys. Hey, happy Thanksgiving to everybody.
Happy Thanksgiving to you, Rick.
Happy
holidays. Thank you, sir.
God bless.
Appreciate you. Mr. Rick Barry, guys and gals. Antonio, if you can give me that starting 5 with you in it.
Kev need to stop saying he one of the strongest in the league, man. That's not true. That's not.
Who?
He's not. That's not true, Avi. That's not true. It's all inflated. He got them inflated muscles. Everybody was.
But wait, Antonio, Kevin's got muscles in places people don't have places.
Let me tell you something. We were in Toronto, right?
Yeah.
And so they want to have. We're getting tested for who's in shape. So
Sure.
we have this test called the beat test. That's my first time I got there. Who won that? Who won it? Who won the beat test?
Antonio.
Who broke Doug Christie's record? Who won it? I did. Then we go in the weight room. We said, all right, we're going to go on the weight room. We're going to bench. They said, we got to see who can get more reps of 225.
Sure.
Who won it? Who
Antonio,
won it?
I'm asking. I got to ask.
Who won it?
Got to ask who won.
Kev. Hey, Kev.
Just gotta ask.
Kev, no question about your strength, but let me tell you this. I'm standing next to Wilt Chamberlain in the tunnel.
That
won the last couple of years of his career.
Yeah.
And those of you that don't know Kevin know that he's got a powerful body. Could still play today if he wanted to, probably. You got the great arms, great definition, great strength. I'm standing next to Wilt. His arms were like legs coming out of his shoulders, right? Now, if you saw him from a distance, he was so well proportioned. When you got it right next to him, and talking to my good friend Wayne Embry, who is a big guy, right?
Sure.
Big guy.
Wayne told me about playing against him, and Bob Ferry told me the same stories. And Bob was a good sized guy.
Yeah.
Both of them said they got picked up by Wilt. When a fight was breaking out.
During a game?
The fight was breaking out. Wayne is trying to break up the fight. Bob Ferry had the same story. He's trying to break up a fight. All of a sudden, they feel somebody lifting them off the ground, and moving them. And it was Wilt both times. And they said he was the strongest human being that they ever faced in their lives. You know?
Pete, Arnold Schwarzenegger concurs. How about this? You imagine being on a set, Conan the Destroyer, Part 2. Came out in 85, was shot in 84. You have on set Arnold Schwarzenegger, Wilt Chamberlain, who I think did really well in that film, and then Andre the Giant, who played that monster.
Right.
Now, Arnold's waking everybody up at 5 a.m., but Wilt, who's up at 4:30. And Arnold says, I could not keep up with Wilt in the gym. I couldn't. That's Arnold saying this. So, I mean, that's incredible stuff.
It's been some strong guys. I mean, especially that power forward.
Yeah.
Wes Unseld, right? One of the strongest.
Yeah. But the strongest guy, I think. I mean, you got Oakley, you got AD,
sure.
You got Barkley, you got Karl Malone, you got Otis Thorpe,
sure.
You got Buck Williams.
Sure.
I mean, you got so many guys, man. Dawkins. I mean, you got so many guys at that power forward. But the strongest guy I've ever gone up to was Kermit Washington.
Oh,
Kermit Washington.
The strongest guy. He moved me like I was a broom.
Get out of here.
Wow.
Kermit Washington, man.
Yeah.
Wow. I was waiting to hear that one, Kev. I didn't know you were going to say that name.
Yeah, man. Kermit Washington, man, was so strong, man. I mean, and you got guys like Artis didn't play. He was center, but he was powerful, strong. Artis Gilmore.
Artis also in this celebrity tournament is Artis. Hey, I know I said this, but pound for pound, this is the last question. If you were to pick a guard, who you think, because you guys are bigs, Antonio and Kevin, if you had to pick a guard pound for pound, who's the strongest that you played against, who would it be? A guard. Because you guys played the 4 and 5.
I would have to say a point guard.
Either one or two. Yeah, either one or two.
While he's thinking about that, my other 4, MJ, Magic, Reggie, and Kareem.
Well, that's a great list.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great list.
Mm-hmm.
I just
I'll give you a GM's perspective. If I was building a team, of my 5, because I love very intelligent players, guys with high basketball IQ. So my 5 would be Urban Johnson, Michael Jordan. That'd be my backcourt. Forwards would be Larry Bird, Bob Pettit, and my center would be probably the smartest man in basketball, Bill Russell.
Bill Russell. Wow.
Yeah, probably.
See, you were if you would, Pete, if you
Russell, if you go back and study him, you know, again, history of the league is a big thing with me. But like I talked to Russell about how he visualized. He's one of the first players I ever learned visualization from, where he would visualize. He'd be on the plane flying to LA to play the Lakers, and he would close his eyes, and he knew how Jerry West drove to the basket. He knew his body language. He knew Elgin's body language. He said he would close his eyes. He would block each one of their shots 100 times in his mind. When the game happened, here comes Jerry driving the lane. It's just like he said, I've already blocked his shot 100 times. And he said, I just block it to myself. I grab the rebound. And
he'd keep the ball alive when he blocked shots.
That was his goal. His goal was to keep the ball alive, not knock it in the stands.
Right.
Anyway, that would be my five.
Pete, you were very close. Had Pete Babcock picked Kevin Willis on his team, 40% of that starting lineup would have been Michigan State Spartans. You were close.
Damn.
You got to imagine. That would be,
Yeah,
man. Nobody want to do that. Come on, Avi.
UTEP.
Come on, Avi. Don't
we got Tim in the tournament. We got UTEP. We got UTEP representing too, though.
Them Davis brothers remember me when we played in the playoffs.
Dale and Antonio, man.
They know. Them Davis brothers, boy. Oh, boy.
Man, oh, man. Guys, check this out. This is
fun, man. You talk about fun, boy.
Oh, my God. I can't. I would not want to be even 10 feet from that area underneath the rim in the paint with Kevin Willis, Antonio Davis.
We had fun there, boy.
No.
Man.
This is some cool photos of Pete Babcock, by the way. My good friend here with Lenny Wilkens. I want to share it with our audience. We're about to depart. Some stills here that Pete was kind enough to send to me. I had no idea Pete had a career in Hollywood. Look at that.
Yeah, that's taken when Lenny got Coach of the Year.
Nice.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's when that was taken.
Yeah, and then this is another one, Pete, here that you had sent me. This is, I think, during looks like a Christmas function of some kind.
We had an annual Christmas party at CNN Center for a local orphanage, and we got presents for all the kids. You got in that picture. You also got Ken Hudson, was the first African American referee in the NBA.
Oh wow!
First referee, yeah.
First African American referee in the NBA. Also, Stan Albeck is in the back there.
Stan Albeck, yeah.
Stan out.
Yeah.
Former head coach, yeah. Michael Jordan's first NBA coach. So this is something I want to do, guys. We're going to get out of here. I'm going to play one more outro for Lenny. It's about 3 minutes. If you want to see it, feel free. But anything you guys would like to tell one another before we depart, I'll go backstage. I'll zip the lip. Anything you guys want to tell one another, feel free.
Happy Thanksgiving, fellas. All the best, man.
Oh, thank you. You too.
Any time like this is sad when you see our fellow troops go down like that and friends, man, pass away. But it's all God's plan. Always God's plan. And he has the final say, final judgment. And so Lenny lived a long life. 88 years is a long time to live, man. It's a long time to live. And every day is not promised, but you know, we stay prayerful, we stay grateful, humble, and his mercy and grace always prevails. And so we have to stay within it and go from there. But happy Thanksgiving, guys.
Thanks, Kev.
Yes,
Amen.
sir.
Amen to that. Amen. I appreciate your time so much. If there's anything you guys want to let anyone know, we've got a rather large audience. Is there? You never asked this question, guys, but I'd like to ask it. If there's anything you want our audience to know about that's coming down the pike in the life or career of Kevin Willis, Antonio Davis, Pete Babcock, anything you'd like to bring up at all?
I'll circle back
constantly talking about the Retired Players Association, just the work that we're doing. I think so much of what's happening now is kind of getting us to understand, you know, our value as human beings, you know, making sure that once we step off the floor, we still have that burning desire to be great. Yeah. And it's building us back up so that we can go back out and impact our communities as we did when we played. So I just want to, you know, wish everybody happy holidays.
Thank you.
Likewise. You know, just every day is a blessing. Let's not take advantage of the days that we're given. Thank you guys for spending your time and sharing these wonderful stories about a man who I thought was was incredibly brilliant in Lenny Wilkens. So, yes, man, just follow us as we do this work. National Basketball Retired Players Association is on the move. We're growing and making some good things happen. So I appreciate it.
By your side anytime you need it, my friend. I mean that. Anything we could do to help here
Thank
at
you.
TKN, we will do so.
Thank
Pete
you.
Babcock, my friend.
Yeah, I just again, I appreciate that what you've put together tonight, Avi, for Lenny. He deserves it. Obviously, we all had great experiences from him. He made our lives better, but by just knowing him and being involved with him. Both you guys, Antonio and Kev, you guys always represented the best of the game, and the fact that you're continuing to do so speaks to your character and where your heart is. Avi, I've got a new book out. It's called Courts of Justice.
Yes.
And the book, the first half of the book is the history of black basketball, and it talks about how from the very beginnings in the early 1900s, the black community embraced the game. And it talks about the pioneers who helped teach that game and spread that game, and then how they used the game to help integration, how they helped bring races together, break down barriers that existed for years and years in our country, and brought people together. It talks about John McClendon, the great coach, and talks about the New York Renaissance, and it talks about Jack Twyman and Maurice Stokes and their relationship. And good. So the first half of the book is all the history of black basketball up through the integration of the NBA, and the second half is telling my story and how I happened to get interested and kind of embrace the civil rights movement as a student in high school and college, and then taking that into the game, and then how the stories, actually there's a lot of stuff in there about you and about Lenny and stories, things that experiences that we shared using the game to try to help the community. So it's always been a passion of mine.
Where can our fans find this, Pete? Because I'd love for them to actually purchase it.
The only place you can get the book right now is on my website, which is real simple. It's PeteBabcock.com. That's all there's to it. Yeah, and you can get the book there. I mean, I've had teams. Timberwolves bought 30 books for their players and coaches to try because we all have a responsibility to educate today's players. They have no idea who these guys are. The pioneers. They're oblivious to it. So it's all our responsibility to try to teach today's players and coaches about those that paved the way for all of us. And that was the whole purpose in writing the book. And so Timberwolves bought books, the Nuggets bought books, Clippers bought books for their players and staff. And I'm just trying to do it to help educate as much as I can.
I implore people to pick this up. It's a great read. There's no doubt. You put your heart and soul into it. It's a fascinating story. And I want to close out by saying this. What I earn is what I learn. I'd rather listen than speak. And listening to Antonio Davis, and this is from the heart. If I have nothing nice to say, I won't say it. Maybe that's the Queens, New York of me. But Antonio Davis, Kevin Willis, Pete Babcock, Paul Mokeski, Rick Barry, sharing your time tonight meant the world to me because you got me closer to Lenny. You got me closer to you. And I know this sounds a little bit flowery or sappy, but we're not far apart. We're human beings with our own stories, and we could find some common bond, be it basketball or a good old-fashioned conversation to bring us together. That's what gets me going. And we had that tonight. And I didn't think about the next minute or the next hour. I thought about the exact second we were all locked in with one another. And that means so much to me. So with that, I use the word class to start the show. And I'll go full circle as I play this video to close out the show, which is all about Lenny. Class. And I don't think there's any other word. You know what? Actually, I stand corrected. There is one other word I want to bring up when it comes to Lenny Wilkens. He was class personified. But there's another word I think that epitomizes who Lenny Wilkens was and what he provided and what he gave to everyone that he knew. And that word is simply love.
Statue honoring legendary basketball player and coach Lenny Wilkens was unveiled today at Climate Pledge Arena. The statue, located on the west side of the plaza, showcases Wilkens in his playing days.
The stories about Lenny Wilkens. one of my idols early on. Could only go left. Everybody knew it, and you couldn't stop him. That's how good he was.
I've mentioned this numerous times before I even knew you were coming on here. The way you handled yourself with dignity in class and relatability, relating to others, is a page that I took from my coaching style when I direct talent on set. So I want to thank you for that because it really made a huge difference. It really did.
Well, I appreciate that.
You are a class personified. Right? Success is much more than someone's bank account. Would you guys agree?
We can't always measure success by dollars and cents. Sometimes how we go about doing things, how we help others achieve. I think it makes us better people.
If I'm not mistaken, when you first arrived to Seattle, there were a couple of ladies that you met that were active in the community. They provided healthcare with dignity. Is that right, Lenny?
That's correct. That's correct. Yeah.
They spent countless hours there at the clinic.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I'd stop by there all the time. It was in a low-income area.
Sure.
Provided health care and education to a lot of families who didn't have health care.
Wow.
And here they were doing this on their own. It was unbelievable. It's at a different location, but it's huge.
That's incredible.
And it's an integral part of Seattle's healthcare situation.
As a player, he was a 9-time All-Star and Hall of Famer, but it wasn't an easy transition when he became player coach in Seattle.
In the beginning, there were a couple of players that wanted to take advantage of friendships, and you have to separate that right away. And you separate eating with them, you separate
that had to be
going
tough
out.
personally.
That's right, it was.
As I told you in 1989, when I went into the Basketball Hall of Fame, the wind beneath my wings certainly is my wife, Marilyn. I certainly feel blessed to have so much family and friends here this evening to be a part of this wonderful occasion. Believe me, it is truly awesome. I want to thank the Basketball Hall of Fame. It's something I'll cherish forever. Thank you very much.
Dr. King, in his speech, was wonderful.
And I've looked over and I've seen the promised land.
I mean, he challenged America that we need to hear one another. We need to sit down with each other.
But I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land.
We need to promote each other. We need to help each other become as good as we can become.
So I'm happy tonight. I'm not worried about anything. I'm not fearing any man.
So he challenged us, that one day we should be able to sit down with one another and help one another to become as good as we can be.
Any man, mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the
Thank you, gentlemen, and may the rest of your evenings be as beautiful as the evening you gave us. Have a great night.
Thank you.
guys.
All right,
guys.
God bless, man.
Great
Take
to
care.
see you.
All right.
Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate you. Hope you guys enjoyed getting to know Lenny a bit more. It's always a blast to be able to get to know him more through some of his amazing friends and contemporaries like Pete Babcock and Antonio Davis and Kevin Willis and Rick Barry and Paul Mokeski. And please keep him in your hearts. Lenny's always going to be the grand champion of this tournament. And I'm sure you can echo those sentiments if you got to know the man that he was. So with that, have a great night. Love each other. Doesn't cost a thing. And that man back there. He gave everybody he knew heaven on earth. So how fitting that right now, heaven gained an angel. And we gained a spirit that will live forevermore. I love you, Lenny Wilkens, and have a good night.